The air in Terminal B at JFK Airport hummed with the usual morning chaos. Business travelers, families, and solo adventurers mingled, each absorbed in their own journey. Among them, a man in a well-worn tweed jacket and faded jeans sat quietly at Gate 23. His name was Arthur Pendleton, though few in the bustling terminal would have recognized it. Arthur was a self-made man, a quiet visionary who had built Horizon Air, from a single propeller plane into a thriving regional airline. Today, however, he was simply another passenger on Flight 712 to Denver, a route he had personally championed years ago. Arthur preferred to fly incognito, a habit born of his desire to understand the true passenger experience. He believed the best way to improve his airline was to live it firsthand without the fanfare of executive treatment. As boarding for Flight 712 began, a young, impeccably dressed flight attendant named Brittany greeted passengers with a practiced smile. Her eyes, however, seemed to glide over Arthur without truly seeing him. He was just another face in the crowd, a seemingly unremarkable older man in seat 23A. The plane filled quickly. Arthur settled into his window seat, pulling out a well-thumbed paperback. He noticed the crew seemed particularly harried today. Brittany, in particular, appeared stressed, her polite facade occasionally cracking to reveal a flicker of exasperation. There was an issue with an overhead bin, a delay with a connecting passenger's luggage, and a general air of impatience from some of the other passengers. Arthur observed it all, not with judgment, but with a keen interest, making mental notes. He saw a frazzled-looking young mother struggling with a car seat and a carry-on, while Brittany quickly, almost dismissively, told her to hurry up as she was holding up the line. Arthur watched as the woman's face flushed with embarrassment. He calmly reached over, helping her secure the car seat, before she finally managed to get her bag into the overhead bin, receiving only a fleeting, harried nod of thanks from Brittany. Later, as the plane ascended through a surprisingly turbulent sky, the drink service began. Brittany, now visibly more fatigued, approached Arthur's row. "What can I get you?" she asked, her tone flat, her gaze already drifting to the next passenger. "Just a glass of water, please," Arthur replied softly. She poured the water with a perfunctory motion, nearly spilling it. "Anything else?" she asked, without waiting for a reply. "No, thank you," Arthur said, a slight smile touching his lips. He watched as she moved on, her hurried demeanor a stark contrast to the company's passenger-first motto he had worked so hard to instill. He understood the pressures of the job, the long hours, and the demanding public. But he also knew that a genuine smile, a moment of true connection, could make all the difference. As the flight progressed, Arthur witnessed several similar interactions, polite but lacking genuine warmth or empathy. He saw a crew that was efficient, yes, but also distant, almost automated. The subtle slights, the rushed answers, the lack of eye contact, they all added up, painting a picture of an experience that was merely functional, not exceptional. The clouds outside thickened, turning the sky a bruised purple, mirroring, in a strange way, the growing unease he felt about the gap between his vision for Horizon Air and its reality on this very flight. Did you feel Arthur's quiet observations? What would you do if you saw your company from a completely different perspective? Stick around for Chapter 2 because the turbulence isn't just in the sky and you won't believe what happens next. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single moment of this incredible story. The flight continued, a gentle hum of engines punctuated by occasional bumps from the now choppier air. Arthur continued his quiet observations, his book remaining unopened in his lap. He noticed the slight tremble in Brittany's hands when she served a difficult passenger, the way another flight attendant, Mark, patiently tried to explain a delay to an elderly man, only to be cut off abruptly by Brittany, who told him to move it along. The overall atmosphere in the cabin, despite the efforts of some, felt strained. the smiles of the crew more like masks than genuine expressions. Then, a sudden jolt. The plane dropped several feet, sending a ripple of nervous gasps through the cabin. The fastened seatbelt sign illuminated, and the pilot's voice came over the intercom, calm but firm, announcing unexpected severe turbulence. The lights flickered, and a few bags shifted in the overhead bins. Brittany, who had been in the galley, stumbled, catching herself on a seat back. Her face, usually composed, showed a flicker of raw fear. A child several rows ahead began to cry, and his mother, visibly shaken, tried to comfort him. Arthur watched as Brittany, regaining her composure, moved quickly to reassure passengers, her voice tighter than before. She went through the standard safety announcements, but her movements were rigid, her previous detachment replaced by visible anxiety. It was in this moment of shared vulnerability that Arthur saw a different side of her, a young woman clearly overwhelmed by the circumstances. He noticed her exchanging worried glances with Mark, the only other crew member, who seemed to be genuinely connecting with passengers during the turbulence. Mark, despite the bumpy ride, was calmly moving through the aisle, offering words of reassurance, a stark contrast to Brittany's almost robotic delivery. As the turbulence subsided, leaving a lingering tremor in the cabin, Brittany approached Arthur's row again, ostensibly checking on passengers. She paused by his seat, her eyes finally, truly meeting his. There was a weariness in them that hadn't been there before. "Are you all right, sir?" she asked, her voice softer than before. "I'm fine, thank you," Arthur replied, a gentle warmth in his tone. "That was quite a jolt," she nodded, a faint, almost imperceptible sigh escaping her. "It happens," she said, her voice trailing off. There was a moment of silence, a brief, unspoken connection forged in the shared experience of the turbulence. It was a glimpse behind the curtain, a crack in the professional facade. Just then, the captain's voice came over the intercom again, announcing their descent into Denver and thanking passengers for their patience. As the plane began its final approach, Arthur observed the crew preparing the cabin for landing. He saw Brittany moving with renewed purpose, but also with a subtle shift in her demeanor. The previous aloofness was still there, but now it was tinged with a hint of something else, perhaps a growing awareness of the impact of their actions. As the wheels touched down with a gentle thud, a ripple of applause went through the cabin. Passengers began to gather their belongings, eager to disembark. Arthur, however, remained seated, waiting for the aisle to clear. He noticed Brittany standing near the exit, her polite farewells resuming, but still lacking genuine warmth. He knew this was his moment. The subtle observations, the emotional distance, the palpable stress during the turbulence, it all coalesced into a clear picture of what needed to change at Horizon Air. He had seen the crew not as cogs in a machine, but as individuals whose daily experiences shaped the very essence of his airline. The plane landed, but the real impact is yet to come. Arthur's about to make his move, and trust me, it's going to change everything. How do you think the crew will react when they find out who he really is? Chapter 3 reveals all. If you're finding this story as captivating as we are, give us a thumbs up and subscribe to join our community. You won't want to miss the shocking revelation that's just around the corner. The doors hissed open, and the stream of passengers began to flow out. Arthur waited patiently, allowing most of the plane to empty. Finally, as the last few passengers departed, he stood up, his tweed jacket slightly wrinkled from the flight. He walked slowly towards the front of the plane where Brittany and Mark stood, exchanging tired glances. Brittany, seeing him approach, offered a practiced, albeit weary, smile. "Thank you for flying Horizon Air, sir," she said, her hand gesturing toward the jet bridge. Arthur stopped directly in front of her. His gaze was calm but direct. "Brittany, isn't it?" he asked, his voice gentle. She blinked, surprised that he knew her name. "Yes, sir." "And Mark," Arthur added, turning to the other flight attendant, who looked equally surprised. "Yes, sir," Mark replied, a hint of confusion in his eyes. Arthur paused, taking a breath. "My name is Arthur Pendleton," he began, his voice carrying a quiet authority that instantly drew their attention. "And I own Horizon Air." Brittany's eyes widened, a flush creeping up her neck. Mark's jaw dropped slightly. The smiles vanished from their faces, replaced by a mixture of shock and dawning realization. The man they had treated as just another passenger, the quiet figure in seat 23A, was the very person who signed their paychecks, the visionary behind the company they worked for. Can you even imagine the sudden shift in their perspective? Their entire understanding of the flight and their own actions was about to be flipped on its head. "I was on Flight 720 today to observe," Arthur continued, his voice still measured, devoid of accusation, "to experience Horizon Air from the passenger's perspective. I noticed the stress, the hurried pace, the feeling that perhaps some genuine connection with our passengers was being lost in the rush." He looked directly at Brittany. "The incident with the young mother and the car seat, I saw that, Brittany. And, Mark," he turned, a nod of approval in his eyes, "I also noticed your calm demeanor during the turbulence and your efforts to reassure passengers. That's the spirit we strive for," Brittany stammered, her composure completely shattered. "Mr. Pendleton, I am so incredibly sorry. We've had a truly difficult morning, and I wasn't myself." Her voice trembled, a genuine vulnerability now replacing her earlier polite facade. Arthur raised a hand gently. "No apologies needed, Brittany. This isn't about blame. It's about understanding. I built this airline on the principle that every passenger matters, that every interaction, no matter how brief, should be a positive one. We fly people's dreams, their hopes, their connections. And sometimes," he looked from Brittany to Mark, his gaze encompassing them both, "in the everyday grind under pressure, we can forget that core mission." He then shared specific observations from the flight, from the overlooked needs of passengers to the missed opportunities for genuine connection, but always framed them as opportunities for improvement, not as criticisms. He emphasized the importance of empathy, of truly seeing the person behind the ticket, not just another seat number. Every hurried answer, every missed eye contact, it all adds up, he explained, and it paints a picture of an experience that is merely functional, not exceptional. We are in the business of transporting people, but we are also in the business of creating positive memories and fostering trust. "We will be implementing some significant changes," Arthur announced, his voice firm but encouraging, more robust. Training focused on true passenger engagement, not just efficiency, and a renewed emphasis on fostering a supportive, less pressured environment for our crew. Because when our crew feels supported and valued, that warmth naturally extends to our passengers. You are the face of Horizon Air, and your well-being directly impacts the passenger experience. He looked at Brittany again, a flicker of something akin to compassion in his eyes. "Brittany, I appreciate your honesty today, and your hard work under challenging circumstances, and Mark, your professionalism and empathy during the turbulence did not go unnoticed. It's exactly what we need more of." The two flight attendants, still reeling from the revelation, nodded slowly. The initial embarrassment on Brittany's face was now visibly mixed with a hint of understanding, perhaps, even a profound sense of relief. Mark, still wide-eyed, seemed to be processing the gravity of the encounter. Arthur shook their hands, a firm, reassuring grip that conveyed respect rather than judgment. As he walked off the plane, heading towards the terminal, Arthur felt a sense of purpose renewed, a fire rekindled within him. The flight had been a challenging one, a stark mirror reflecting the areas where Horizon Air was drifting from its foundational principles. But it had also been incredibly insightful, providing him with a direct, unfiltered view from the ground, or rather, from seat 23A. He knew that true change wouldn't happen overnight, but by stepping into the shoes of a nobody, he had gained an invaluable perspective that would help him steer Horizon Air back to its core values, ensuring that every passenger, no matter how they looked or how harried the crew felt truly valued. He walked out into the Denver sunshine, ready to bring about the transformation, knowing that sometimes the most profound lessons come from the most unexpected of places. This wasn't just a flight, it was a wake-up call that would forever change the trajectory of Horizon Air. What an incredible journey. Arthur's quiet observation truly reshaped Horizon Air. It just goes to show, sometimes the most profound lessons come from the most unexpected places. What was your favorite moment in this story? Was it the shocking revelation or Arthur's quiet acts of kindness? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want more inspiring true stories like this one, make sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so you're always the first to know when we drop a new video. You won't believe the impact this single flight will have on thousands of future passengers. Thanks for watching.